In the most terrifying moments of this part, the horror did not come from someone shouting cruel words or committing an evil act out loud. No, the true terror was much deeper and much quieter. It was the silent realization that inside every single person present, a decision had already been made. Somewhere in the shadows of their hearts, the trial was over and the verdict had been passed before anyone even opened their mouth. Someone had already decided not to forgive. Someone else had finally felt, deep in their bones, that what they had been calling love for years was actually nothing more than an addiction. And another person had stopped searching for a way to defend themselves and had started looking for a hidden weapon instead. Not to prove their innocence, but to completely destroy the person standing in front of them. This is why this part of the story, although it appeared calm and quiet on the outside, was incredibly dangerous inside. The loud fight had not yet begun. But in every heart, the judgment had already been delivered. One of the heaviest lines in this whole section was drawn through the fate of a pregnant girl. She was being consumed from the inside by three things at once: longing, hurt, and hope. All three were eating away at her soul at the exact same time. On her lips, she carried pride and claimed she did not want to forgive. But her eyes were still waiting for a message. Her heart was still trying to find its way back to that same man. And this small detail was extremely important. When a person says they have given up on someone they love, but deep inside they are still waiting for a sign from that person, the drama is far from over. It has not even reached its peak. The mother's attempts to keep her daughter far away from the city were not without reason. She was trying to protect her child. But inside that protection, there was also fear. Genuine, cold fear. Because if the daughter returns to the city, she will not only have to face her husband again. She will also discover who did what and who played which game while she was gone. And the mother-in-law was already searching for a new bride for her son, even though her current daughter-in-law was still alive and the baby had not even been born yet. This was not simple cruelty. This was a sentence passed on an unborn child. For this woman, reputation mattered more than humanity. This is why the biggest blow in the future will come exactly from this point. The mother who is humiliated today will return to this house tomorrow through her child. And then concepts like lineage, shame, and truth will collide with each other in a way no one is prepared for. In this part, another very important emotion was uncovered. There is nothing more dangerous than the pain of a person who has been used and then thrown aside. Someone in this story finally realized the truth about themselves. They understood that they had been nothing more than a tool inside a game. They were used when others needed them and then forgotten as soon as the work was done. And that understanding changes a person more than anything else. Open hatred is not as dangerous as this. Because the moment a person believes they have been deceived, they start to see revenge as justice. This is why the hidden commands in this part, the intentions that were disguised as just teaching someone a lesson, and the careful planning to strike where the bruise would not show, were all extremely dangerous signals. This was no longer an explosion of emotion, this was called calculation. So in the coming parts, the blow may not come roughly. It will come thoughtfully, carefully, and in a way that leaves no trace. And the worst part is that in such acts of revenge, the real guilty person is rarely the one who gets hurt. The weakest point is always the target. The events circling around Nazokat had now moved far beyond simple gossip. The biggest twist in this part was that something which had once been thrown away as useless had now returned as the strongest piece of evidence. A wedding, a gift, a photograph, a flash drive. From the outside, these looked like small objects. But in the language of this drama, such items are never just ordinary things. They become the door that carries buried truth to the surface. One woman did not receive money in her hands, she received a weapon. At first, she thought about selling this thing. Then she realized that selling certain pieces of evidence is an act of foolishness. With such things, you do not make money, you control a person's entire destiny. And this is the point that many people miss. This was not about becoming rich. This was about forcing someone to their knees. And the most dangerous part was that those who obtained this evidence did not rush to expose it immediately. I say with strong confidence that safe will be opened, and what comes out will not be ordinary money. It will be a document that can destroy someone's reputation, connections, perhaps even evidence that can change the entire family chain. The scene written with Afzal, Ghaibul, and the historical comparison was the most intelligent foreshadowing in this part. The reminder that it was not an external enemy that destroyed the empire of Amir Timur, but the deceit that entered from within was not a coincidence. This was not a simple reading scene. It was a very clear signal thrown by the drama makers to the audience. This meant that the collapse in these families will also come from within, not from outside. The men may be strong, rich and experienced, but if their vision becomes clouded, they can hand over everything they built over years to a stranger in one moment. Nazokat was not connected to this comparison without reason. This did not mean that all her cards had been revealed yet. On the contrary, it meant that the scariest thing about her was just beginning. Perhaps she too was someone who was forced to love at some point. Perhaps she too played a role just to survive. But still, everything around her was crumbling. This is why in the coming parts, Nazokat will not only be accused, she will appear as the center of destruction. Someone will think they are bringing her down, but before that, they might fall themselves. The warmth in Afzal's home also felt very deceptive. Flowers, plants, a restaurant renovation, the hope that had woken up again inside his wife. All of this looked beautiful, but at the same time, workers were leaving the construction site. The project was shaking. In Ghaibul's absence, the system was faltering. This meant that while the man was trying to put out one fire outside, he was bringing smiles into the house. But when the foundation is in an earthquake, the decoration on the walls will not save anything. And his wife, at this exact moment, was opening her heart, thinking, "He is telling me about his plans again." This was a very painful paradox. Just when the woman thought trust had returned, life might pull the ground from under her feet again. In my view, Afzal's problems at work will enter the house very quickly. Money, partnership, trust, external pressure. If any one of these cracks, the relationship that was just warming up will cool down again. Perhaps worse than that, he might become a pawn in the games of others without even knowing it. The line surrounding the missing woman also became very serious. When we heard that she was taken away in a car and that money was paid for this, one thing became clear. This was not simply running away in anger. Someone had hidden her path. This meant that this disappearance was not a coincidence. It was planned. So she will not return in the coming days with a simple line like, "I missed you, so I came back." If she returns, she will bring the truth with her. If she does not return, her absence will bring other people's crimes to light. In either case, this secret will not live long. There was another thread that seemed unimportant from the outside, but could start the next explosion. The flowers of the Harassa. The man who was blocking the girl's path and boiling inside with the thought that even if there is a wedding, I will not let you be at peace, was not just a rejected lover. He knew the comings and goings of the family. He had observed the rhythm of the girl's life. He had even